Okay.
Hey y'all, I'm here with Megan from Oxford Housing, and she's going to be talking to us about some questions that I've went and come up with, and then what she's got to help you with the home buying process, what you need to know if you're in the market to buy a home. There's a lot of things that you need to know. I went through the process. I try to help on the channel with what I can do and what I went through, but every dealership is different, every state's different. So there's so much that goes into it. And so I'm hoping this will really help people and be able to get them in the home that they deserve, that they need. Uh, Manufactured homes, personally, I love mine. I love manufactured homes. Grew up hating them till I went and started researching, found out how well built they are, how that they're built for HUD standards, and so they're great homes. And I'm glad to have Megan with us to help us to learn and understand, be educated on these homes and what you need to know. There's a lot that goes into it. She's got a TikTok and YouTube and
all social media, really.
yeah, Facebook. Because Facebook is where I went and found some of her videos and saw what she was putting on there, and that went and caused me to get in contact with her to do this video and hopefully a series and try to help y'all and educate. So I'll turn things over to Megan and let her uh, with the questions that I've written down and then what she's got. And she's also got some other material on timelines. And then if we get into skirting options, some of the different skirtings with it. So we got a lot of stuff to cover. So turn it over to Megan.
Hey guys, I'm Megan from Oxford Housing here in Oxford, Alabama. Yeah, Todd reached out to me about, what was it, a couple months ago, about wanting to show some Cavco homes because he hadn't really seen any of those yet. And so we started talking about that, and hopefully we're going to get him a factory tour one day and get him up there to Boaz, and so that way he can give you guys a little bit more behind the scenes of how these homes are actually built in the factory. I'll be having a home tour probably within the next 2 or 3 weeks that I will be posting about as well. I like to give all of the customers, and all, whether it's you're a customer of ours or you're just somebody from a different state or out of our range, if you don't know these things, or if you're in the process of looking at manufactured homes or whatever kind of home, I like to give as much information as possible so that way you know what to expect when it comes down to weighing your options and what the best option is for you. So Todd wrote down a few questions, so I'll be reading down from here. Todd asked, first thing to know when looking at manufactured homes is a housing option. Your first thing I always suggest is to, one, kind of get an idea of what all things it is that you're wanting, what styles you like, because some manufacturers, a lot of them nowadays are doing a lot more of the farmhouse vibe, but they are starting to modernize it to go with a lot more trends. Start figuring out what style of home you like, what budget you really want to stay in, because there's a lot of factors that go into the budget. If you already have all of your land ready, you're really just going to have to worry about the home price. But if you have, a raw piece of land that needs a bunch of work, then you're going to have to also accommodate for those extra expenses, whether you finance them in or not. But I always like to give everybody all the options up front and explain to them that, sorry, my mind went blank. Explain to them that all manufacturers, they have to go up to HUD codes, which is federally regulated. So they're managed by the government. And then there's also state regulations they have to go by. Because in Alabama, we have an Alabama Manufactured Housing Commission. They give rules and standards for manufacturers, for retailers, for salesmen, installers. They all have to go do training. They regulate it and monitor it really well. And they hold people accountable for not doing things the correct way to protect you guys. And then he also asked, what is the process of buying a home? The process, for example, like if somebody comes in and they're like, look, I don't know, I'm still debating on if I want a site-built home or a manufactured home because we have family land, or if I want to buy a home and then build. There's so many options that people are trying to weigh. And the process would be, figure out what it is exactly you want. And I always tell people there's different manufacturers and different dealerships. There's corporate owned dealerships. There's small dealerships that are family owned or operated like we are. And you're going to get a different experience of every single one. Corporate things, when you're dealing with bigger corporations, there's only so much you can customize. But if you go through a manufacturer that's family owned and operated, similar to Cavco, they can do a lot more different customization options because they're not having to go through a big corporate regulation, because they have architects that come through and they'll do the designs, and they can pretty much change anything you need: floor plan, placement of doors, whatever you need. So the process, I actually have one of these. This is a free resource. I actually have it on our website. It's a free printable that you can go online and print off, save, screenshot, whatever you want to do with it, to kind of give you the sales buying process. And one thing is that this is the timelines. So all of these are very dependent on weather, financing, contractors. There's a lot of things. So I've seen, when I made a TikTok about this, I've seen somebody say it took them 6 to 7 months for their entire process. And I've seen where it's taken 7 to 9 months. And then I've seen somewhere where it's taken 3 weeks start to finish. So they all really vary on a bunch of different variables. But this is a good guesstimate that we like to give everybody. So the first thing you do is you choose your home. And I say usually that takes 1 to 2 weeks. If you aren't in a rush, it can take you 4 months, however long. If you're on a timeline, it's different. I tell everybody, go tour homes, choose your floor plan, review the features, and then lock in that price, because prices change all the time. We get updated prices sometimes every month, sometimes every 6 months, once a year. Things change, and also interest rates change. Hopefully, we're on a down spiral soon.
Yes.
That's what Todd is really good about, trying to bring awareness to this for our affordable housing crisis that our country's in right now. And this is, manufactured homes are a great option for that. And so hopefully if we can get these interest rates down, this gives people a lot more financial freedom to get them a home and out of rent and leases, and do something that is actually a home for them. And so that usually takes somewhere between 1 to 2 weeks. That's all dependent on you. I always suggest, you can go talk to the big corporate dealerships. You can talk to family owned and operated ones. Figure out which manufacturers you do like and which ones you don't, and figure out what stuff's included in the price. That's a big thing that I tell people. I'm like, if you go anywhere, make sure you always ask what is included in the price. Some places don't include delivery and setup. They may have a house super lowly priced, but it doesn't have anything added on. You have to add that on. So delivery, setup, all this stuff, that can add up to like $20,000 after it's done. And then financing paperwork, we can usually get an approval. Say we send it in on a Saturday. Financing companies are closed on Saturdays. We send in the credit application. Usually by Monday or Tuesday, we have, your approval and conditions sent in. So you'll apply, you'll submit your documents, and then we'll start finalizing the sales paperwork. Getting all of the documents in, the conditions that the financing company is wanting from you, like verification of employment, sometimes they just they're fine with W-2s, driver's license. If you have the deed to the land and you own it free and clear, they'll want a copy of that. Or if it's family land that you're not being charged rent, you have to do like a land gift letter that the person who owns the land has to sign off on it saying, yes, I'm allowing them to use this land rent free. If something were to ever happen, I'm giving the bank permission to come and take this home back. There's just a lot of different conditions, and they are all different variations of what you can do. And there's different financing options as well. And those processes all have different time frames. If you're doing a land home, those can take a lot longer. If you're doing land in lieu, that can take somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks, just because they have to get an appraisal, a title company, and a lot more different logistics with it. And but standard financing, I say somewhere between 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how fast you get your conditions in and how fast they process it. But most finance companies that we use are very quick to process everything. And then you start the site prep. So this is accommodating if you finance in your site prep. This is the way I did it, because a lot of people would rather finance it in like the same way you did when you did yours. You just finance it into the entire loan, so you're not having to pay a bunch of expenses up front. The way we work, we close and then we get everything ready. So if you need grading, you need your driveway cut, you need, like you had to get permission from your neighbors to be able to pull through their pasture because your road wasn't wide enough. And you need water, sewer, septic, all of these things added to this land. That process gets started. And then I usually say delivery and setup 2 to 6 weeks, just because of weather. If they go and deliver it, usually like delivery, setup, and tie down, that's one day. They get it out there, but it can take 2 to 6 weeks before it gets delivered, just due to weather. If the contractor has numerous lots they work for, or they have other stuff that they have to attend to, we use private contractors, so they have all sorts of other things going on. So I like to give everybody that information up front, just because.
One thing on the site prep too. Now, one of the things, if you're in the county, you don't have sewer there. One of the first things they wanted me to do was get a perk test.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll need to get a perk test to make sure that you can put a septic system on your land, or whether they're going to have to put the more expensive septic thing on your land.
Yes, and if you are buying the land, or if you're doing a land home, or if you're in the process of buying the land and you're just looking at the homes and trying to figure that out, I always tell people, like, if you're buying the land, either ask the realtor or the landowner if they have already gotten a perk test. And you can even add that in as a condition when you do buy the land. That's saying like, hey, we closed, and debating on it. It's almost like an inspection on a house. Say, hey, you can even split the cost with them. There's so many different options, but I always tell people, I'm like, if you haven't bought your land yet, check the perk test and ask for one. And if not, then you have to get that. And I think there's somebody mentioned in one of my TikToks that there's a new septic tank system that you don't have to have a perk test for. It's like an aerobic system one. I haven't done a lot of research into that. I want to find out more about that to where I can share that. But that was just something somebody brought up the other day. And I was like, well, that's something to look into. And then, so I also say 2 to 6 weeks after delivery, just due to the fact that you have to get it trimmed out, which a trim out is where they come in, and if it's a double wide, single wides don't require trim outs. Double wides, they have those two pieces that they merge together. And so on the inside, there's pieces of wood and sheetrock, and the flooring is not sealed and everything else and marriage together in that way. So you get a trim out guy that comes out and finishes that out to where the home is all one. That can take a day or two. Then you have AC, and like right now, the weather has been so wet and it's so hot that they also have customers that they've done stuff for that they're without AC. So they have to go do these service calls first. And then you have utility hookups. And if you're in city limits, you have to get permits to be able to get your power turned on. And so that's things that you have to look into. And we try to help. So if you aren't sure if your home's in city limits, we can, help you do the research to find that out as well. And then we can figure out the process of how much the permits are and stuff too. And then we do a punch list, which most manufacturers do. After you get your home delivered and set up, within 60 and 90 days, get in the home, live in it, let it settle, because it doesn't matter if it's full finish sheetrock, the board and batten strip, or the hybrid like we offer, you're going to have things that pop up, whether your toilet's a little loose, or your cabinet, the drawer comes off the tracks, or it's messed up, or the cabinet door doesn't shut, or your back door that it's warped and needs to be readjusted, or your locks don't work. There's so many little things that can happen. So we tell everybody, hey, me personally, I tell them, I'm like, keep a notepad on your fridge, or if it's you and your wife, get a shared notes app on your phone, to where if you're not home and your wife is and she notices something, she can go ahead and put it in, and y'all are on the same page, and you guys can take pictures of it, write it all down, and we send that into the factory for you. And then the actual factory manufacturer comes out and fixes those things. They bring the parts from the factory to match. They bring the paints, the vinyl siding, all of those things. And that usually it takes somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks for them to get out once the punch list has been submitted. And I tell everybody, I'm like, if something pops up between now and then, let me know, and I'll send it to the factory and add it on to that. And, but we also tell customers, like, hey, if you have a water leak, an electrical issue, or a roof leak, something like that, that is an emergent issue, don't let it just sit there. Call us, because your home's still under warranty. Call us, and we will get somebody out there as soon as possible to fix those things. We don't want you sitting there with a roof leak or a fire hazard because of electrical issues. That's, it's unsafe, and we don't want anything to happen, because we truly care about everybody that comes in here. And so usually a good overall timeline is around 8 to 12 weeks from start to finish. That's a good ballpark. Sometimes it can be 3 to 5 months. It can take, there's a bunch of different variables, but I usually try to say 8 to 12 weeks. I'd rather overestimate my timeline and stuff get done sooner than be like, hey, it'll happen in 3 weeks, and then we just have a monsoon season again, and then everybody's disappointed.
Yeah.
And so what if someone has land, but it needs to be cleared? Would you be able to get that land cleared, the septic and water lines done, or at least put on that loan? Yes. You can finance every bit of your site prep into it. If you need your driveway, you need power, you need water, septic, sewer or septic. You need every bit of your site prep done. You can finance that in. And we actually have contractors that we will get out there. Like, if you have a piece of land, you're not sure where you can put the home, if the home will fit, we can send one of our contractors out even before you do the credit application. And they can we've had them go out and say, hey, your land, you can fit any size home you want on it. Or, hey, with the way this is, there's septic already here. You're going to need new lines run, but not a full septic system. And you can only fit like a 28 by 56 home on it. We have all these contractors that do all of these different things, and we can get you set up with people that we know and trust. And I also have another free resource that's on our website. It's a site prep checklist. So even if you're wanting to finance those things in, this shows you what all stuff you would need done depending on how your land is. Like, if it's raw land like you had with the trees, you have to do clearing, you have to do a bunch of stuff. Some people, if it's just a piece of pasture that a single wide or double wide used to be on, they may not have nearly as much to prep for. But I do this just to where everybody has a general idea of how to get their site ready to make the whole process as smooth and easy for them, and it cause a lot less stress.
Yeah, I wished I had had something like that.
Yes.
And that would have made things much easier so
I made this like last week or the week before, just because I had a lot of people ask about what all stuff they would need done. And I was like, this is a really good resource for anybody to have, to where it gives you a really good general idea of what all else is required that you're unaware of when you're looking at homes.
Yeah.
And so I have those two. They're on our website. You can print them off, screenshot them, whatever. I just like to give those out to where anybody who has questions or like I told you earlier, I like to give everybody as much information as possible because I don't want anybody to come into it unprepared and there be unprecedented stress or and they're unprepared, or they say, okay, well, I only need these things and financed in, and then that turns out they need something else, and they're like, what do I do? So I'd rather everybody have all that information up front.
Yeah.
And then skirting options. What would someone need to know? So there's a bunch of different skirting options you can choose from. Like our pricing includes vinyl skirting, and we have 2 different options, and I'll show you guys here in just a minute. There's vinyl skirting, metal skirting. It's a kind of vinyl, but it's not. It's vinyl, but it looks like the rock and has the ridges. A lot of people do like that. Some people don't. And then you can do block or brick skirting. Prices vary on all of those. We include vinyl skirting to where your home, as soon as you get moved in, your home is finished. You're not having to go do all these different things. And so, like the vinyl skirting, we have 2 different brands that we use. This is the Eagle vinyl skirting. So there's 2 different options. This one's got the vented panels, and this is more of a traditional, how this one's been around for a very long time to help the moisture and airflow underneath. And then this is the new one. It has the vents built in on the sides, and they're a lot more, they're easier. These pieces come in, or no, that's the different one. But then there's this one that's the solid panel. This isn't the one with the vents, but it's still very durable and easy to connect and unconnect. God forbid you need to get under your house for any reason, or a contractor does. They're very easy to get a hold of. And they also have the colors on the back. There's different colors you can get. We usually order white, but we do always confirm with our customers if you don't want white. If you wanted, I've seen people, they have a dark brown house, they wanted a tan skirting, and it's just, that gives you an option to kind of customize your home in a way too. Then there's these options. This is new. It's Valor vinyl skirting. This is side vented. So in these little grooves right here, they have the vents still, but they look solid. This one is, the other one comes in 16-foot sheets, and then this one comes in 12-foot. So you have to order a little bit more, but this one's a lot more durable and easier to maintain. It's got a really good locking system, so it's not going to just fall out after a windstorm. It's just a very good option. And then they also have different colorways as well. And then one thing I did want to mention in this as well, Todd brought me some great questions, because I've answered a lot of these on my TikTok, but I'm glad we're getting to sit down and do this to where we can have a good conversation about it. I always tell people, like, my first piece of advice, the second you walk in, I like to tell people, one, I have no hard feelings if you decide to find a home somewhere else. I really don't. I want to be able to help you if you have any questions. I mean, obviously, I would love to, for you to buy a home for me, and I'd be able to make your house a home. But everybody has to make that decision that's best for them. So I tell everybody, make sure you go to other dealerships, look around, and there's a lot of good questions. And I think I just made a resource, and I haven't printed it off yet, on our website. If not, I was working on it the other day. It's about what questions to ask when you go to a dealership. Good questions to have, to where you can make sure you're getting all the information if they aren't as open. And, some places they're a little bit, they want you to ask them these things, so they don't give it out willingly. And so I want to where other people have these questions. But a couple of things that, it's almost like, it's not mistakes. It's just stuff that I want people to know to make sure they get all of their questions answered. And these are important questions to make sure they're getting everything, like not asking what's all included in the price. Like us, when I give you a floor plan, it shows you right there what all is included in the price. And then not researching your local codes and restrictions. So we can help you with that stuff as well. Like if you believe your home's in county, but it's actually city, that's something that you do need to know, to where, and like, for example, Oxford, here in Oxford, Alabama, they have a rule or law, whatever it is. they don't want manufactured homes in city limits. But if there is a piece of property you buy that already has a manufactured home on it, it's grandfathered in, but as soon as you move that manufactured home off that lot, you have exactly 1 year to the day that left to put a new one on it, or you can't put one on it. So that's a really big thing to kind of look into. And I tell people, I know dealing with courthouses and counties and cities is a pain. Nobody likes going up to the DMV or courthouse. It's especially with the Star ID stuff going on right now. It's call them, email them, go by, because the best way to get your questions asked about local codes and restrictions is asking the people who make them, because there's a lot of stuff. Like, I found out new stuff all the time about certain places, like Georgia. For theirs, they're very strict about how their manufactured homes are set up. You have to have concrete footers, and you have to have block skirting or brick skirting, and you have to, in certain cities and counties over there, you have to have so many big pieces of wood. I can't remember the exact measurement. You have to have, I think, like 4x4s for your porches, and they have to be finished out. You have to have so much concrete. It's wild how much they require. So always figure out that stuff. I like people to figure that out, like right before they start the financing process, because that's stuff you can add into financing. Because concrete's expensive, block skirting's expensive, just grading and all that can add up really fast. And I always tell people to research dealers, manufacturers, and just research. Go buy different lots, ask different questions, make the best decision for you. But if you get on TikTok, there's a lot of Clayton hate. I've started to. But one thing about that you have to understand is, one, the factory at which it comes out of. They have numerous factories where they're built. That matters. And then you also need to understand what is a homeowner responsibility, what is a retailer responsibility, and what is a manufacturer responsibility. Because if you have a water leak, like I said, call us ASAP and we'll get that fixed. I've seen where people have Clayton homes and they have mold growing under their sinks because the manufacturer's taken so long to get out there, or the dealership's not handling it properly. And my thing is if my sink started leaking, my first reaction would be disconnect the water to the sink or put something underneath it to where it's not going into into the wood. Put a bucket, a bowl, something, and keep a constant check on it. And then either try to fix it myself and tell the dealership to pay me back, or hire somebody. Us personally, we'll call one of our contractors and get them out there as soon as possible. And, we pay for it. And then usually you can bill back the factory if it's under warranty, or some dealerships just drag their feet with that. So that's my thing is, I was like, when you are also researching, figure out what things are not only retailer issues or manufacturer issues. Look at the review and look at it from a standpoint of the manufacturer, of the dealership, of the customer. Is it something that a customer is just being unreasonable about and blaming the dealer, but it's actually a manufacturer problem? Is it they're blaming the manufacturer, but it's a dealership salesman issue? There's different ways to read that perspective to where you can understand. Because if you just read bad reviews and read bad reviews, you're just gonna be negative about the whole situation. And obviously, but another way to compare it is site-built homes have the same issues. Neighborhoods, they have warranty teams. They have the same issues. I know a friend of mine who built a house. As soon as they moved in, they had to completely redo their water heater. And another friend of mine, they bought their house. It was in a neighborhood with an HOA, site-built home, built by a big contractor, big company. And within a year, they had to replace their water heater because they were unaware of how hard the water is. It burned up their entire water heater. I mean, it looked like they had cat litter in it because of how hard the water is. And they live down the road from me, and we have to deal with that, and it's horrendous. And then make sure you're touring the homes in person. Like, if you go to a lot and you're like, okay, I like this home, and you don't go to another lot and you're just looking online, you're not going to get to see the real difference in the quality. And my thing is I want to go in it and be able to visualize the furniture where, and picture it as home, because a lot of people come in and they're like, see, this home feels like home. I have people come in and they're like, I didn't like that one, but this feels like home. Look at multiple ones and get an idea of that. And I'm trying to think of some other stuff that I have on there. And make sure, like, some manufacturers figure out how they're built, because like with HUD and Alabama regulations, we have certain wind zone standards they have to be up to. But there's different options. You can have like 2x6 walls, or that's a better upgrade option versus having the 2x4 and having OSB on the wrap on the outside, because they have, I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's almost like a foam that they put between the vinyl and the wood, and it's so thin and brittle and it breaks down over time that if you wanted to just go punch your arm straight through that wall, you could. And like with us, we make sure all of our homes are OSB wrapped. Like, we pay for that upgrade to make sure it's a better quality home for these people.
Yes.
And yes, it's a cheaper option. You save $1,000, $2,000, but when you're financing it, that's $10 or $20 a month.
Yeah.
So, trying to think, is there any other questions you have?
I thought of one just a little bit ago, but it's went and...
I'm the same way. That's what I info dump, so I'm sorry that I...
Oh, I know. One of the things, like my videos with showing all these different homes, like she said, that's not a substitute for you going and looking at a home, because I do my best to try to show as much of the home as I can, but that's not the same as going into a home and getting a feel of it where you know if that's a good fit for me. That's why sometimes I will have the same home from different dealerships, because one dealership may not have furniture in the home, and then I find another dealership that has furniture in it, and that way you get a contrast and you can see where how the furniture is going to fit.
It. Yeah, and see, like us, we would like to get back to where we're staging our homes, but we stopped doing it a while back. We had a lot of issues with it, and then a lot of people ended up wanting to just buy the furniture in it. So then it was like we were constantly having to refurbish. But that, like, I always put factory photos of their staged homes on our website so people can kind of visualize it that way. But even us, like, I saw somebody who had just bought, we have the Anniversary that you did a tour of not too long ago that has the big windows in the kitchen. Somebody had one on their lot, and next to the fireplace, there was built-in bookshelves, and it was a different fireplace. So because I can show you the options online. I can show you the options on the posters they give us, but seeing those differences in person are completely different. Like, some may have a full brick fireplace, but some may have an electric, some may have wood burning, and then you can really get a feel for the quality of them. And that's what I tell people as well, is that when you're looking at different dealerships, say you would personally, not to toot my own horn, say you just like my, Oxford Housing, and you want to deal with us because you just get along with us really well and you like how we operate. But you see a Clayton home that you like, but we don't carry Clayton other than True. Most manufacturers have homes that compete with their other ones. So there is a couple different manufacturers that have floor plans similar to the Anniversary and vice versa. And so that's one thing that you can look at. And if there's something in that home specifically, like I said with Capco, they're really easy to customize and they have a ton of options. So you can almost you could get almost the exact same floor plan that's at a different dealership. And like, I call our factory probably 3 times, 4 times a week saying, hey, can I get a quote on this house? Because people want to figure out how much it is to customize. And then every dealership has different lot models, and they're all going to have, different prices as well. And it's good to do your research on it.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've had I've got one person in particular, whenever she's seeing the homes, and she doesn't want tubs and
Yeah, I've seen her comments on your, she wants no tub. Yeah.
Yeah. And so most of the time, that would be an option that somebody, if they want no tubs, but most of the homes, whenever I show them, that's how they're going to be on the channel. But you would have an option where you could go and do no tubs and just do
a stand-up shower. Yeah. Well, that's what I actually did a price quote on a house the other day. Somebody did not want a tub. And so I called the factory. I was like, hey, when you do this, is there a spot to make the shower bigger? I just want to give this customer all their options. And he's like, yeah, you can put, a giant shower where the tub sits and put more cabinets there, or you can just put a wall where the shower normally sits. And then Cavco has different tub options. They have some that are built in. And then they have, my favorite is the standalone soaking tub that we have in our anniversary. It's just, I visualize like a small table over there and, having candles. Like, it's the perfect little setup.
Yeah.
And so there's different options. And, if we have one on our lot that's framed out, that's, built into a corner, and you're like, no, I'd want the standalone tub, I can call our factory and they can draft up a floor plan to show you how it would look. And then you can base it off of that. And I always tell people too, like, if you want to come in, if you have certain pieces of furniture, if you want to see stuff, I'm like, you can bring a tape measure in. I've got one if you want to use it to kind of visualize that stuff as well. And all the floor plans usually have the measurements on there to show you the sizes of the rooms, just like house floor plans. And but yeah, look at all your customization options.
Yeah. Now there are some homes that they don't allow
true.
Yeah, because the true homes, there's not
any customization.
Yeah, what you see is what you get.
The only thing I think you can change on them is the vinyl siding color.
Yeah, yeah.
The reason they do that though is they make it to where the only thing that's different is the vinyl siding and the floor plan. There's no differences. All the floors are the same. All the wall boards are the same. The trim's the same. Lights, showers, everything is the exact same. So they can keep their initial costs down. So that way, in turn, it keeps your initial costs down. And so it's a great budget-friendly option.
And plus, they can get them out a lot quicker because they're not having to customize with them.
And they only have, like, I think, 10 or 12 floor plans max. And they have 2 factories that are single wide only factories and 2 factories that are double wide specifically.
And then also, my home's an Epic home by Clayton, and there's not really any options with that. And it's the same thing. It's just a little higher grade than the other, where you have the porcelain sinks and that kind of stuff. But the great thing with the budget homes, even though they might be plain when you get them, you can customize them after you get them the way you want them. Like, if you've watched my videos, how I did my own backsplash, that kind of thing, and saves you initial money whenever you're buying the home, but then you can go and
customize it how you want
it when you have the money that you can do it.
Yeah, or if you're not sure of how you want everything to look and you're not sure, you can change it. And that's what I've actually told some people. I'm like, look, if you're just looking for something that's a cheaper, easier option, that you're not as worried about it right now, and then later on you want to change things up and change the cabinets and change the appliances and do these things to it. If you want to add full finish sheetrock to a true, there's nothing stopping you from ripping that board and batten strip out and putting in full finish sheetrock. If you want to change out anything in it, because it's still the bones.
Yeah.
Just like a site-built home, you can do a renovation on it as well. I saw a girl on TikTok the other day, and I mean, I was floored. She had the same true floor plan that we have, which is the marble floor. She went and added in built-in bookshelves in her living room and put up full finished sheetrock. Didn't even look like the same home. It was stunning the way she did it. I immediately commented. I was like, okay, pop off. That's amazing. Haven't seen that before. And I've gone and shown customers how people have done that with them.
Yeah.
Because it's a great option to do. And then, because that's another thing, is that certain brands of homes, like I've told people before, think of it like how cars are. You know, there's always a base model.
Yeah.
And then there's a step up and a step up and a step up. And then you get up to a Platinum or a King Ranch and, you know, or Z71 or High Country, all of these things. So different manufacturers have different models like that. Like Cabco, personally, they have MD models. You can make them as basic as you want to make it a budget-friendly option. Yeah. But you can also go into their KB series, which is their Platinum. Like full finish sheetrock. It has archways instead of doorways. They have a better fireplace that's like lime wash brick. There's a bunch of options you can do that you can't do in the MD.
Yeah.
But they are just, I mean, they're going to be a lot more expensive because there's a lot more detail to them. So like Clayton Cavalier is a good mid-range of theirs. They have the Trues and they have the Epics. And then they have like Cavaliers, which they're a higher one, but they're still also a mid-range compared to Buccaneer and like some and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of options for everybody when it comes to budgets and styles.
And that's the great thing about manufactured homes. There's something for everyone. They are built so much better than whenever I was growing up as a kid. These are just as good as a site-built home.
It's not the grandma trailer that you grew up in or you saw. It's not trailer park.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been telling people, like, because people are like, is it a mobile home or a modular home? Like, what's the difference? That's one thing. That's one of the most popular questions I get asked is, like, it was a trailer, then it was a mobile home, then it was manufactured, and then now there's modular. So what is the difference between them? So trailer and mobile are essentially the same thing. They used to call them trailers because back in the 60s and 70s, they would just leave the hitches on.
Yep.
They never took the hitches off. They would just put the vinyl skirting around the hitch or leave the hitch out and have vinyl skirting everywhere else. And they'd still be on the wheels. There was no requirements of them how these homes had to be tied down. Like they would just have them just like an RV.
Yeah.
And then then it was mobile homes where they'd take the hitch off and they'd, you know, set it. And then after 1976, I believe, is when HUD came in, which is through the federal government, and made these rules and regulations as to how these homes have to be built and how they're regulated. And so that's HUD regulations. And then certain states have state regulations. Like I mentioned earlier, we have the AMHC that has certain state regulations that all manufacturers who are in the state of Alabama have to follow. And then you have to register your home within 30 days of it being delivered. And so you go to your courthouse, you register it through the DMV just like you do, and it's like $100-ish, somewhere around in that range for your decal.
I think it was 75.
Yeah, so it depends on like your city and county, and I think it's based on like the home value too. Everywhere's different, but I always tell people 100 is a good ballpark to prepare for your permit every year. And if you choose to do the real property versus personal property, you'll pay property taxes on it. But that's a whole different
Which I think I messed up on that because they went and I talked to somebody and they said that I need to put that on to report the home being on the property. And so I did. And so where I was just paying like $56 on property tax, and now, so I'm thinking I messed up.
You can actually, I don't know the exact process, but you can go back and reverse that. when I was doing it, I was researching it. I did a whole video on I did a 2-part video on TikTok about real property versus personal property. And I always tell people choose the best option for you. Like if you'd
Yeah.
rather just pay for that decal and pay your property taxes, you can. It's going to be a cheaper option. But if you plan on selling that land and selling that home together to get a bigger value, if you sell it, then it may be worth it to you. And some people just want it tied in together just like that. But I think you can go back and you can reverse that too, because you surrender the title to the DMV and do that. But I think you can go back and reverse
Well,
that.
see, now I never did anything with the title. I just went and reported that was on the land
In permanent.
and the garage that I'd put it on there. So that's whenever they said that they would send somebody out
to appraise it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something that you could look into if you wanted to ever change it too, to where if you wanted to keep your property and sell that home and put a new one on there.
I'll say I don't ever plan on
leaving. Yeah.
Because I'm even planning on being buried on my land. So
yeah,
that's so I
yeah,
just
yes, you're fine with it. And so that's
Yeah.
what some people, I just tell them, like, look, you can just look into it and research it and weigh all your options. And there's a bunch of different ways you can do that and manage that if you wanted to do it. I just tell people, do your research, and if there's something that seems like it would be the best fit for you, do it.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I'm not even sure how long we've been going on the video.
I'm not sure. I think it looks like it's about 46 minutes.
Wow.
That was a good.
Yeah. That was good. I hope all of you have got something from. I've got learned more with it. Hope you have too. And if you like this content, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And check out Megan's her social media with Oxford Housing on TikTok, Facebook,
Instagram, all of it.
Yeah. So
all of our social links are linked on our website as well. So
and go to their website, and the information she went and had, you can go and print it out. Hopefully it'll help you. If you're in the market for one of these homes, you need to know these things, and I believe it will help you a lot and get you in the home that you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate each of you watching. Hopefully we can do this again. And please, if you got questions, send them in to me. You can send them in to me. You can send them in to Megan. If you don't want to put them in the comments, you can email me at todddeason67@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to put those questions down, and we'll do our best to cover it. So y'all take care. God bless you, and we will see you on the next one. Bye for now.